People, Deluded, I'm back again. Quick video. Let's just quickly run through some stuff and let me get out of here. I don't want to take up all of your time. Moving forward though, as you lot know, I'm not going to go over the same topic. You know, was it a red card? Was it not with Eddie? I personally think it was a red card. I know there was no malice from him. I know he tried to pull his leg back. But at what line, you know, even me, I say it myself. We always say it wasn't intentional. And it wasn't intentional. I don't think he went there to bad him up. But just because it's not intentional does not mean it's not foul play or anything like that. You know, look at Mane versus Edison. Was it this season or was it last? When he booted him in his head, it was accident, but it doesn't mean it's not reckless. Now, he was fully agreed to go for the ball, and it's slightly different. Now, apparently, Arsenal have appealed Eddie Nketiah's red card against Leicester, a two-pronged appeal, both in terms of the red card and the 3-match suspension. Arsenal are appealing on the grounds of wrongful decision as well as excessive punishment and are hoping to get at least Nketiah's ban reduced. The FA will make a decision by the end of the week. Apparently, Jamie Vardy is set to escape respective action for his clash with Mustafi, which is a disgrace in my opinion, because reckless play or not, Vardy has done a mazza. And the more I watch that game, I'm not saying Vardy tried to beat him in his face, but the more I watch it back, I do think Vardy tried to do a mazza. You know, I don't think he tried to mash up his face, but I did think he tried to follow in. He's clocked, he's followed through on a mazza, and he said sorry. And even if it's not, it's still reckless play. You don't land naturally like that. And this is the problem. We're not seeing the consistencies, completely different incidences. And I'm not saying it's one rule for all, a one-drop rule, but it's just I'm seeing a lack of general consistencies, people. And it is starting to get quite jarring as an Arsenal fan. It is what it is in that regards. But moving away from that, Matteo Guendouzi, it's neither here nor there. There's been a lot said, you know. There's been, you know, the details are coming out about Dubai. He had an argument with Socrates and it continued into the night. And he's refused to say sorry to Arteta. He's been reprimanded by Edu. David Luiz has tried to get him to say sorry, but he's so far refused. And, you know, I love Guendouzi. I want him to play. I want him to be a footballer. I think he's going to be a very good baller. And he has shown he has got maturity and a good attitude, but he is too hot and cold. For every great example of him showing togetherness and including everyone as a team and all the things you want to see from a top player, there's negative things. And for me, Arteta's got a lot of things to worry about as a manager anyways. Definitely double more the position Arsenal are in. It's just simply too much of a headache. And no disrespect to Guendouzi, but Arteta's not been the manager, but he's worked with Aguero, Sterling, players that have been around the block, world-class to top-class footballers that always want to improve, that give less headaches. So why is he going to take it from a 21-year-old who's got, what, 50 or so appearances for Arsenal, maybe similar or less for Lorient, and he's just been called up to the French squad as a result of an injured player? He ain't going to have time for that. You're not going to have time for it. And Arteta has said it's zero policy. And I don't get it twisted. I think Guendouzi knows what it's like to play for this club and ride for this club. But at the same time, there's a way of doing things, and Arteta's got to make examples of people not patterning. I think if you buckle up and you fall in line, he's shown that you can still have a future. Maitland-Niles, there was comments about his attitude. He's back. Ceballos, now he's playing. You get it. It's a bit different because it was nothing to do with Arteta. But Granit Xhaka, it seemed like it was done for him. Get back. So it's up to Guendouzi. All he needs to do is eat humble pie, say sorry, have the maturity to know as a young 21-year-old to pick your battles wisely, and things like that. He's been linked with Barca, he's been linked with all these clubs. I think Arsenal will be in a position where we might look back and say, yo, we missed out on a quality player. But at this moment in time, you know, Arsenal want to rebuild. We bought him for 7-8 million. You could sell him for 40. You know, considering the profit, it ties into the Dortmund model allegedly we want to do. You know, it's one less player that's giving Arteta a headache. It gives him resources to go elsewhere. You know, and that's probably it. We just don't want the headache, people. We just do not want the headache. Apparently, a meeting is scheduled again at the end of the season to make a final decision. But unless there is a change of attitude or apology, it's incredibly unlikely Guendouzi will remain an Arsenal player. Apparently, you know, I saw, is it Freddie Paxton, very good account, he gets these little good interviews. He spoke with Guendouzi's ex-manager at Lorient, and he said Guendouzi's problem is not physical and it's not technical, it's his attitude. It's not good for the team or the coach. My relationship with him wasn't very good. I picked him for a cup game against Nice, but he got booked early on. The ref told me at half-time to warn Guendouzi, one more foul and you're off. But in the second half, nothing changed. I was left with no choice but to sub him off. When I did, he refused to shake my hand. He took his job seriously, his training was no problem, and his character is always want to win. Sometimes when he talks, it's good, but sometimes he talks too badly, he talks too much, and he, you know, a lot of French players and a lot of players are very opinionated, but this is what I'm saying, Guendouzi needs to pick his battles wisely. He needs to recognise and fall in line that this is the coach, this is what the coach is saying, and channel that in a positive way. You know, you should be one of Arteta's leaders. You know, Guendouzi, you're one of the most experienced sort of young players here. You've done well, you've come here from Lorient, you know, you've elevated to a good squad stature. You should be the one out of the young man that the Nelsons, the Sakas, all these men are looking at. Cause you've been here for a second and you played well in derbies. You played well. Then I love Guendouzi. I want him to stay, but I love my club more. It's gonna burn me when Guendouzi leaves. But there's many people that want to see the back of Guendouzi, and I can't get onto them about that. The football club is still gonna run. He needs to pattern up. It's as simple as that. And pick his battles wisely. He said his talent isn't the question. That's not the issue. He can be a top player. And I think he can still succeed abroad. It's up to him to change his attitude. And I got an article, people, which showed Guendouzi's situation. Now, I copied and pasted it from Google, Google Translate, because it was in French. So if the words don't make sense, you know, I'm no disrespect, but I'm not dyslexic or anything. There's issues. Apparently... almost 3 weeks has gone since the situation has been very much complicated for the young midfielder of Arsenal, most precisely since the 20th when Arsenal were beaten by Brighton. The Londoners had especially attracted attention by the attitude of Guendouzi. During this meeting, the Frenchman verbally attacked several of his opponents, including his compatriot Mikel, whom he even tried to strangle during the match. Before they got too much, the former Lorient player would have verbally insulted his opponents before provoking them on their wages. The drop of too much of the leaders at Arsenal. So yeah, you could see it, people. More or less, Google's translated, but as you lot know, he had the bust up against at Brighton. Apparently, the case is considered very serious internally. A head of committee awaits the young player, Mikel Arteta, Raul Sanye, Edu, and Hus Fahmy on the programme. The episode of Brighton, but not only. The grievances have accumulated. Delays in training, just like the chapter in Dubai, where the disagreement between Guendouzi and Arteta reached its climax during an oxidation course. In the Gulf, the former Lorient man had a heated argument with his teammate Socrates in training, a prolonged tension until the hotel, where this time the fight had squarely opposed Guendouzi to his trainer, Mikel Arteta, with whom the tone would be raised very high. The Frenchman blamed his coach sharply for favouring the Greek. So again, you know, he needs to have that maturity. Like, I like the fierce, I like that he's not afraid to stand up for himself. We want that, but again, there's a fine line between that and going and being disrespectful. And I'm sure he understands this, but I don't think he comprehends it. You know, people in the corridors above Arteta want him gone. At the same time, you're now making Arteta's job hard, because Arteta might have had big plans for Arteta, for Guendouzi, sorry. But if you draw him out in front of everyone, what does that say? You know, what does he do? Does he make an example of him, which he clearly did, and it, you know, it was water under the bridge? Or does he let you keep doing that? Because again, like you see, you let a man do that, you set the precedent. Because a man, experienced players might say, you know, if Guendouzi can carry on like this, well gone for my team. Or younger players than Guendouzi might carry on. And we saw how that went against Emre, and Arteta said he's not on that. So this is how the problems he gets, and this is what it is. You don't want to get to that level. Like a lot of players, you look at Balotelli, it's completely different. But you know, at a point, Balotelli's talent would always get him through. Like, someone would always take a chance. But at a time, it became, some people are just saying, F it. Like, we know you're a talented boy, but F it. It's too much. It's too much. And that's probably the case of Arsenal. Like, we know Guendouzi's hard, but it's too much baggage that he's coming with. And he needs to pattern up, you know. He needs to pattern up, because we should be talking about his contract still 2022. The way you've elevated your squad status, regardless what it is, regardless what people think, you know, he should be someone in line to sign a new deal. Do you get what I'm saying? And there's no talk of that. You're someone we're trying to sell, make a profit, and call it quits. And when we talk about, everybody knows he's got potential, but potential is nothing without the application. And you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. We all make mistakes. I'm sure he's probably wanted to do things differently. But we need to think about this. And they've even spoken about, apparently David Luiz has tried to calm him down, but it didn't bang. If he doesn't believe he wants to say sorry, then I'm like Guendouzi by nature, people. If I see myself in this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying sorry if I don't believe I should say sorry. But one thing I learned, not necessarily to say sorry, but pick your battles wisely. And I think Guendouzi needs to learn to pick battles. Know that there's no real winners from here. And you're disadvantaging yourself because you're not playing now. You probably would have featured in these 4 games in some capacity. You know, we should be talking about Guendouzi forcing his way into the Ceballos-Xhaka partnership. But we're not speaking about that. You know, it's very unlikely you're going to play again this season. And for Arsenal at all, which is a sad end to what was a promising start for a player. Not too much people knew people. Apparently, the leaders at the club have asked the player for more self-control. On the contrary, the midfielder explains his desire. Apparently, it was his attitude by his desire to protect his teammates after Leno, indirectly caused by Mikel. Very insignificant plea on the part of the player, who had also dismissed with the backhand the advice of certain players like David Luiz, who had asked him for more professionalism. The midfielder is ejected from the group until further notice, thus reinforcing his conviction that he is no longer in the right place since the departure of Unai Emery. Which is true. You know you will be in the right place, but you've shagged yourself because it's not about talent. Like, I'm sure Arteta would have you as part of the team and it's down to you to be a first team option, but you're being alienated because you're a bad egg. Like, you don't want time to deal with this. Like, he doesn't want negatively affecting. You know, Arteta wants people that are going to apply themselves 100, which I think Guendouzi would do, but we ain't got time for this, Matteo, man. It is very unlikely that Arsenal will retain Guendouzi in his workforce. The future? Question mark. A meeting is again scheduled at the end of the season to make a final decision on the player's case. Unless a change in attitude with apologies from him, it is very likely that unlikely that Arsenal will retain Guendouzi. If officially it is not placed on the transfer list, all options should be studied during the next window. Apparently Arsenal are open to loaning him. Apparently he's been offered for clubs for swap deals in what we're trying to do. And he's also been offered in outright sales in which you've seen PSG and Barca. And to be fair with you, you know, I'm going to keep it chill. If Guendouzi can end up at Barca or PSG, that's better than Arsenal. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But for Guendouzi, you know, if you want to get into the French side and you want people to speak about you from the right reasons, then you've got to fix up. You've really got to fix up. I like Guendouzi and I'll always support him, but I have to call a spade a spade. And when people are playing poor, they're playing poor. But on that note, I've got nothing more to add, so I'm going to get out of it, people. Like I said, nothing more to add. People, Deluded. I'm out. Let's hope there's some positivity in relation to Guendouzi's future.